Nokia's plans to release a new version of the classic 3310 mobile phone has highlighted the growing market for retro tech. Now, as many look to embrace a future of smarter phones, automatic coffee machines and voice-control cars, some prefer to strip it back to the basics and do the work themselves. It's all about simplicity and control. And to talk more about it, we have futurist Ross Dawson, who joins me in the studio. Ross, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Now, I noticed that it started with people moving from digital camera to film, and then the coffee pods started disappearing, coffee grinds started coming in, and then people starting to call themselves retro adopters. Explain to us, is this stripping back and going back to the simple basics, is this a fad or is this the way of the future?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, the reality is that every trend has a counter trend, and a lot of these are behavioral. As technology develops, we respond to that in various ways, and part of it is to say we don't necessarily want to be on the bleeding edge. So I think a classic example of that is fast food has led to slow food. We didn't need slow food until we had fast food to realize that, in fact, we wanted to slow down and make our own food and to savor that. So we've also seen that vinyl, and some of these technologies actually are superior in some ways. So vinyl actually does have a richness to it, does have a breadth. So Neil Young famously said for a long time, I will not use digital recording, until he introduced his own way to be able to do that. But we are seeing now that there's more and more people who are seeing that partly there is nostalgia, partly there is a way to be able to look to the qualities of the old technologies, but it is partly also just to be able to as a counter trend to all of what is happening on the edge.
Does this mean that technology has gone too far, or we have gone too far in technology and adopted too much of it in our life and we feel disconnected?
For some people, yes. But comes to the choices that we have. As technology advances, we have more and more choices. So one of them is, for example, do we plow into social media and share everything, or do we say, no, I don't want anything at all? If not, then the Nokia 3310 is a great phone because it doesn't have any social media on it. Or do we want to be on the very edge with all of the facilities we have, or do we just want to say, no, all I want to do is make calls and to send messages, and I don't need more than that?
Is this a case, though, that the modern world is so technologically dependent? It's come to the point where even technology has surpassed our own behavioral, psychological development or so. We become so dependent on technology that wanting to unplug, wanting to take a step back may actually mean you would have to isolate yourself. Is that right?
So the technology visionary, the media visionary, Marshall McLuhan said, we shape our tools, thereafter our tools shape us. And so now these are the choices we have. Yes, these technologies on the edge are shaping us in various ways, but this comes back to the choices we make. Ultimately, if we look at the future of humanity, many people will choose to be cyborgs, to integrate themselves with technology because that will be possible. And many people will say, no, I like myself as a human as I was born. But these have become the fundamental choices we have. So the choice of simplicity, or having technology as something which is basic, not being a Luddite, you're not breaking the machines. You're saying, I choose something which is basic rather than the latest thing for the fact of being the latest thing. And so we can choose. Some people will choose to respond in this way, to go back to all the forms of technologies. Others will choose to do that, and that's fine. There's a diverse society that we live in.
It is indeed, but are you starting to see perhaps down the future a clash of civilizations, the more simple choices as well as the more technologically advanced choices?
Absolutely, we'll see a divide in society, and I've pointed to that for a long time in terms of social media, where we will see a divide between those who are embracing social media and those who are not. And as we will see that furthermore in terms of how we use technology to augment ourselves, augment our intelligence. And so there will be a divide. It's a clash of societies rather than civilizations. And there will be choices, but the reality of those who will choose to embrace the technologies will have more opportunities, can connect more, can find more opportunities, but then the others will say, well, they are losing part of their soul, they are losing part of who they are. And so these are the choices that we have laid out in front of us as technology gives us so many more options, including the options to turn back.
Fascinating future. Ross Dawson, thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure.